Howdy folks, I'm Radiant Red Campion, rowdily rattling rusty raspberry rattles.
I'm Amber.
And here are more raspberry rattles for us to rattle. I don't know exactly why they're rusty raspberry rattles, but they are, so let's get started on that. Howdy folks, I'm Radiant Red Campion, rowdily rattling rusty raspberry rattles.
I'm Amber.
And here are more rusty raspberry rattles for us to rattle, so let's get started on that. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Refusing to Appear in an Apology Video? A week ago, a neighbor who's 16 unintentionally scratched my car with her bike. She immediately stopped, started crying, and called her mother for assistance. Scratch appeared worse than it actually was, and in store, it was simply polished away for a small amount. Since it was an accident and a very minor one, I didn't charge the girl or her mother. When she apologized, I told her it was all right, and I advised her to be extra cautious next time, especially around cars. Well, a few days later, her mother wrote that her daughter still feels a little bit bad about it and wished to offer a more sincere apology. I wrote her that everything is good and that I didn't have a problem with them. She said that they would only deliver a cake as a small act of peace. I agreed and thought, okay, that would be sweet. And when they arrived, the girl was holding a cake box in her hands, and her mother had a phone. The girl began muttering about taking responsibility and putting things right, but it appeared as though she wanted the earth to engulf her. Then her mom quietly said, "Now give the cake and ask if he accepts your apology." I looked at her and I asked her if this was being filmed. Her mother said that she wanted to make a video as it serves as an excellent illustration of how young people can take responsibility for their actions. She said that she could hide my face, but she needed to video me accepting the apology from her daughter. Well, I took the cake, and I told the girl that everything was okay between us, and that I had already accepted her apology that day. Then I turned to her mom and said that I didn't want to be part of a video. She started arguing with me, said that I could have just let her finish properly, but in the end, I just went home. Well, the girl mom is upset with me now and doesn't even say hello when she sees me. For the sake of good neighbor relations, perhaps I could have waited 30 seconds, but I didn't like how a simple apology was transformed into a scene. Girl seemed really uncomfortable. I was filmed without my permission, and I might have looked after it was published as though I was someone who demands apology from kids. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
No, absolutely not the jerk. The only person here who's being a jerk is the mom, who is trying to use her daughter for TikTok clout or whatever. Like, very clearly she's doing this as some kind of social media, look at what a good parent I am, making my daughter apologize. The daughter had already apologized. OP had already accepted the apology. They didn't need to go through all this rigmarole.
Well, I think that's kind of the big thing here is that, OP wasn't trying to get any more of an apology out of this girl than what was that she had already done. And then I don't even think OP would have cared if the girl had apologized or not. It doesn't sound like OP really mattered that much to them. I do feel like the way the girl reacted after the accident says a lot about the mother and her attitude.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, kids and bikes and stuff like that can be a hard situation, but like OP didn't seem like they were like angry at her when she hit it. And I think like this kind of shows that she knew that the mother was probably going to make a big deal out of it. So I feel really bad for this girl because this is just not a good situation, and I can understand her distress, especially knowing that her mother was going to blow this out of proportion, right?
Mm-hmm.
But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Aurora Gayer says, not the jerk. That mom made it weird. A cake and an apology would have been sweet, but filming it with a script isn't. You actually made things right. And Opie replies, I hope I saved the girl from shame. People are ready to farm engagement even on their own kids now. And TKKNA says, it probably was for a TikTok to shame the girl. And Flat Replacement 4828 says, so not the jerk. That's really creepy and bad parenting. And Opie replies, that girl looked really sad and embarrassed. She was forced to do it, no doubt. And Flat Replacement 4828 says, parents using children as props for social media should be outlawed. And 67 Electo says, not the jerk. Girl mom no longer talks to me. I love it when problems solve themselves. Honestly, that's actually kind of what I was thinking too. And Thick Rich 8726 says, not the jerk. This has absolutely nothing to do with the girl and her apology. The neighbor wants to do some performative parenting for social media. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for the Jokes and Comments I Was Making About My Friend's Dad? I'm an 18-year-old male and I went on a trip with a group of 4 friends the same age last week. We were at an Airbnb at a seaside town a couple of hours where we lived. One of those friends I'll call Alex. The whole thing was a bit last minute, and the town that we went to was kind of a main place people go here for little trips like that, and Alex's dad, before he died unexpectedly a few years ago, used to live there. His parents separated, so he knows the area. When booking it, I was going to send him the house, but he just asked what area it was in, and when I told him, he said that he's happy enough. He knows the houses in the area and that they're decent. Well, the most ridiculous coincidence ever happened, and I have no idea the odds of this happening, but I can't believe it did. But the house that I booked was his dad's house. I don't know if he was renting it out or in the middle of buying it or whatever. But somehow, since he died, the house has actually become an Airbnb. Alex didn't know it was the same house until we arrived and was telling us, oh my goodness, this is the same house, and we tried telling him that's impossible. They probably just used the same template for the houses in the area, but he gave us proof. At first, Alex seemed to think that was kind of cool, but also apparently he hadn't been there since it happened, and he seemed in his feelings a bit, and wanted some space to wander around by himself for a second, and think and cry when the rest of us went to get food. Well, when we got back, we started drinking, and I kept making jokes, like referencing the meme of Batman saying, this is where my parents died, or joked, imagine using your dead dad as an excuse to get first pick of the rooms. Or, this is a nice house, whether he was renting or buying, or whatever he was doing, you must be getting a nice bit of an inheritance. Or, I went around critiquing every tiny imperfection in the house, like wow, whoever took over couldn't even do X. There was a slightly discolored square patch on the ceiling above the bed in one of the rooms that I pointed out. Alex mentioned that his dad stuck a Bible verse card plaque up there. I'm like, oh my goodness, he was that religious. He was sticking Bible verses above beds? The silver lining is that you'll never have to have a conversation about you liking men. Alex is bi and had a boyfriend for a bit. Well, that's when he gets really angry and just explodes about everything that I was saying. Not just that, but every comment that I made all at once, just going on and on about how I'm annoying, and calling me different names. I don't know if I can say them here. While I defended myself, I said that he could have respectively told me this at the first comment, not wait to explode now. And also, I've made jokes about his dad before. Alex himself has made jokes, as I've pointed out. I'm respectful, so I'll stop now, that I know, but I would have had no idea before now, and it's not fair to expect that from me. But he doesn't quit about how I should have known. And then the other guys, not just Alex, tell me that I'm in the wrong. But I think that maybe it's just because they're being careful due to him being sensitive about everything in the moment. All right, folks, what do you think?
OP, you are a major jerk here. Now, I understand some people have dark senses of humor, but you have to make sure that everyone is on board for that kind of situation. And to constantly be cracking jokes and picking apart everything and saying some that are very personal and hurtful too. Like, this wasn't just the generic, my dad's dead type of thing. This is like, oh, good thing your dad's dead so you didn't have to come out to him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where's the joke in that?
Yeah, I mean, certainly, like, I get if OP thought that this was okay because of the sense of humor of the friend. Like, if the friend usually makes kind of off, taste jokes like this, then I can understand OP making one or two of these jokes. But I mean, picking apart the house, making constant comments, like, I think that OP should have read the mood. His friend went into the house and cried while they were gone,
Mm-hmm.
right? Clearly, if somebody is being, is in a heightened emotional state, they're probably not going to want to joke about things that are around that state. And it feels like OP saw that their friend was in distress and thought, maybe I can lighten the mood or something like that, and chose the poorest possible way to lighten the mood.
Yeah.
Like, that's the best, most charitable reading I can get on this.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that they should have known better. But I also think, like, OP does have a point. If the friend had just said something at the very beginning, like, hey, I'm not really in the mood, can you not make jokes about my dad? Maybe that would have been a bit of a better approach on the friend's part. Blowing up all at once isn't great. Not that I blame the friend for blowing up here, but I do think like OP does have a point that conversations could have been had, and maybe he would have stopped sooner. But again, I think that OP probably should have realized with the heightened emotional state of the friend that maybe he probably wouldn't have been in the mood for, talking about his or joking about his dead dad.
Yeah.
But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. But folks, let's see what the Wheel of Judgment has to say. Wheel of Judgment, turn, turn, turn. Tell us the judgment that OP's earned. Therapy. Well, I mean, maybe the friend needs therapy.
Well, I mean, OP might too. If this is like how OP has fun, is picking apart someone's dead parent.
Alright, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Not Inviting the Neighbor Boy to the Lake Because He Can't Swim? My son and his friend wanted to go to the lake by us to go swimming. This lake has a lot of inflatables and other stuff to do. There is a boy in our neighborhood that cannot swim and is accident prone. And since this lake doesn't have lifeguards, I opted out of inviting him to come with us. I and my son and his friends group always include this boy unless it is swimming in pools or lakes with deep water. He often is bullied at school for his size. He's a very abused young kid, but even so, my son and his friends always try to include him and will stick up for him whenever the other kids are being mean to him. The issue now is that his mom is upset with me for not taking him with us to the lake. I did ask her to come along with us, and she didn't want to go, so I told her that I didn't feel comfortable with taking him. I didn't want anything bad to happen to him or to be responsible if something happened, and since the inflatables are out in the deep area of the lake, it was a disaster waiting to happen. I will also add that this young boy had several accidents resulting in broken bones from falls. I don't know if I'm just irritated because my husband and I do a lot with my son and his friends, and now this mom is very upset at me. But why didn't she come with us? All right, folks, what do you think?
No, absolutely not the jerk. This is a safety hazard. You invited the mom to come and keep an eye on her son. I think that was a perfectly reasonable compromise. But it sounds like you would be looking after multiple kids who actually, like, even kids who know how to swim can get themselves into bad situations. So, I think if the mom wanted him to be there, she could have gone and kept an eye on him to make sure he didn't drown. But you can't, bring a kid who doesn't know how to swim. You just be monitoring him the entire time, and then what if one of the other kids needs help?
Yeah, I mean, I do think like this is a pretty standard pattern here. Like OP doesn't take them along to swimming activities. This is kind of an established thing. And OP isn't excluding them to be mean. OP is excluding them because it's a safety hazard. And I think there's a huge difference between those two kinds of things. Now, maybe the other mom should get their son some swimming lessons so that they can come along to these activities without, worrying about it. And swimming is, really good for people. And I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I think like the fact of the matter is that I think that she was given the opportunity to come along. She could have watched her son, but she's choosing to try and just have OP be the babysitter and be responsible for all this stuff, which I think is unfair to put on OP, right?
Mm-hmm.
But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Tricky Satisfaction 81 says his mom should step up and get him some swimming lessons. Not the jerk. You have great kids. And OP replies, I agree, her son came to our house once to swim, and he fell off the ladder and broke his arm. It took him over a year to have his arm heal, and he had 2 surgeries. We offered to file a claim with our homeowner's insurance to pay for the arm, but she declined. The doctor told her that his weight was a contributing factor on why his arm wasn't healing properly. He's 9, and he weighs close to 200 pounds. And J. March Pineville says, not the jerk, the fact that she would just send him to those conditions says that she's a terrible mother. You did the right thing. You don't put a kid who can't swim into deep water, ever. And anybody who would want to take on that responsibility for another person's child like that would be ridiculous. A fatal water-related accident can happen within just a few seconds. I mean, I think that's actually a really good point for some of that. I thought that some of the comment was a little overly harsh, but it only takes a few minutes for something bad to happen in swimming, so. And Zoom Zoom Zack Attack says, not the jerk. Your concerns are valid, and if she didn't want to accompany him, that's on her. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea here, and Amber, she has a joke there.
How do chickens encourage their baseball team?
Um, I would say that chickens encourage their baseball teams by getting together in the coop and then saying buck buck baka, and then they rally together, and then they put on their little chicken baseball caps, and then they put on their little chicken baseball shirts, and then they grab their little chicken baseball bats, and then they put on their little chicken baseball gloves, and then they go out to their little chicken baseball field, and then they play their little chicken baseball game.
They egg them on.
No, no, they don't. And I have a special guest tea, the Earl Grey white tea again. It's not bad tea. It's not bad tea at all. And folks, today is a very special day. It's chicken baseball. So make sure to go find some chickens and build a little baseball team and play some chicken baseball. I think we're kind of on like a baseball run with these jokes, no pun intended.
Yeah.
Seems like a lot of these have been baseball recently. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Terrific Tuesday, folks, spelled TWO. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it on apologizing.
Don't force your kids to apologize for social media clout.
Yeah, but thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.